Along with this classification, we will come to know the different kinds of field crops. If we see classification of field crops, it has been divided into various various bases based on their uh, use of crop plants and their products. Okay, based on it. Next classification based on season. Okay, based on ontogeny and life cycle. Season also. Okay, classification based on mode of pollination also. Okay, you do not know what is pollination. We will be covering these all these things throughout this chapter. Okay, you have to hold how now. Wha- what are all the classification? Let us see first. Based on the depth of the root system, based on the root system. Okay, based on CO2 fixation, based on climate, based on nutrient uptake, based on special purpose. Again, that is a classification based on what are all the different special purpose for which we are growing a particular crop. Again, for on that basis also classification is done. These are all the general classifications. Now we will be each one of them we will see discuss in details what are all these, what type of crops comes under this each classification. Okay, before before that, to understand why the first classification is done, let me give you an example. So for example, we have three crops, that is rice, mustard, um, and cotton. Okay, so rice crop is grown for obtaining rice, which is a staple food, and we are consuming the rice day to day in daily life. Okay, then the purpose of growing mustard crop is obtaining mustard seed, which can be used for extracting mustard oil, which can again used for cooking purpose. And purpose of growing cotton crop is fiber, for fiber for making fabric. We now you can see that different crops have their own different purpose. The produce we are obtaining from these crops have their different purpose. Some are used for consumption purpose, some are used for oil, and some are used for making, obtaining fiber and used, and so on. You can see that various use of the plants, product of the produce is different. This is the basis of classification we are going to discuss here. So on that basis, we have different crops like cereal crops. What is meaning of the cereal crops? What are all comes under this category? I will be discussing it later. But now just have a understanding that what are all the different types of crops that based on this classification. Next is oil seed crop. Next is green manure crop, pulse crop, fiber crop, commercial crop, sugar crops, spices and condiments, and forage crops. Now I hope it is clear to you that what is the basis of what is the classification and why this classification has done. Okay, and if we talk about the very first crop, that is a cereal crops, it is generally few crops which is belonging to grass family. Means it, if you see these crops, you will see that look like a grasses, and but these grasses has have some eatable starchy grains, due to which we are cultivating these grasses. And due to which grasses are important to us. Now, for example, if you might have seen that a plant of rice, you can see in the picture also, that is rice. Okay, you will see that plant of rice look like a grass, but this grass eatable starchy grains, which is rice. Rice is for us, useful for us for consuming it. That is why we are growing these kind of crops, and these crops become important to us because they form the staple diet. They are part of staple diet of all the humans. So all the such crops are called as cereal crops, like your rice, wheat, maize, barley. These all are cereal crops, which are basically belonging to the Graminaceae family, which is grass family. But they are have some eatable starchy grains, edible starchy grain, that is grains consumable, consumed by us. That is why it's important to us. We can consider this as like all the field crops like your rice, wheat, maize, barley, oat. These are all cereal crops. Now, under cereal crops, there is one more thing that is understand is that, students, cereals crops are further divided into millets and minor cereals. Basically, all the cereals that are consumed, they are further divided into based on the size of the grain, and based on the likability to the people. There are few cereals like rice, wheat, maize. The grains size of the are bigger, as well as they are mostly likable by the peoples, consumed by the peoples. So major area under production is of these is, as well as these are part of our staple diet. But on hand, we see millets. Millets are basically coarse cereals. Grain size of the cereals are very small, first of all, and secondly, these millets are not liked by people that much. So we people do not consume these millets in day to day staple diet. They So these are called kept under different categories, as well as less area under cultivation is under millets. Further, these millets are also classified as major millets and minor millets. Further classification